What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sound Bites. I'm Rich Sweeney, hanging out with the one and only Chef Dave White. Chef, how's it going?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So glad you're here. We're hanging out, kicking it in New York, just kind of chilling out at the Civilian Hotel. And I mean, I think the biggest thing I've noticed with you, like extremes all over the place. How did we get here? What's your origin story?
I grew up in London. Basically went to college for 3 years, did an apprenticeship. So I'd do like 5 days, AFDs every day, and then 1 day at college. Did that for 3 years after my level 3 pastry. And then I had to get out of there, so I left and moved to France, basically. That was kind of how the story went. And then I started skiing. I never skied before, so I had a love for the mountains. I'd always cook in a hotel in the mornings and then in the evenings, and then in between I'd go skiing.
That's such a rough day, you know? Like, we cook in the morning, I'm gonna cook in the middle of the day, I'm just gonna go take a little ski break. Like, I like a little coffee break, but I get a ski break, okay.
It was still pretty hectic. I mean, we didn't get out till like 2 o'clock, do the afternoon tea, get the afternoon tea done, and then get out on the slopes as quick as you could, you know, and you have to be back by 4, so we only got a few hours out there, but oh yeah, man, it was incredible.
That's awesome, cool. So you did that, you got started. What prompted you to get started working in kitchens and cooking in the first place?
To be honest, growing up, I was a bit of an angry child. I didn't do great at school. I didn't have much going for me, so I felt like I didn't have many options. I was washing pots at the age of 13, so super young, and then the head chef started doing veg prep and making sandwiches, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And then more opportunities came up. And that's when they offered me the apprenticeship. And then literally my life changed from then. My life was food, and I loved it.
That was awesome. So apprenticeship for learning cooking. I went the other route. I had the school and then learned, you know, in the kitchen. Actually, I kind of had like a little bit of both. So I think what do you think the comparison is between learning on the job as an apprentice versus, you know, somebody who just goes to school, learns it by the book first, and then has to learn how to apply it in the kitchen?
Being like around that adrenaline, you know, that it's just like a well-oiled machine. It's amazing to be there firsthand. You can't teach that. You can't teach timing. You can't teach basically being in the mixer, like being there and it just happening over and over again. You making mistakes after mistakes after mistakes. That's the only way you grow, right? You don't get that going to college full time. You don't get that reading the practical cookery. You've got to be in the mix of it. And I think it makes a huge difference. It was so much easier going to college because I had already learnt it. But there would be a few things I didn't learn, so I'd always feel like, oh, you know, I've got this. But then I'd say fillet a monkfish, and I'd be like, how on earth do I do this? And then the kids would be like, ah, you don't know this now, do you? But no, it was like, it really had its perks though. It was definitely the way to go.
Absolutely. I mean, kind of taking off of that, you know, we talked about your skiing before, and then you had some back issues, and so you couldn't really do that anymore. And then, I mean, how did you switch from skiing and getting into climbing and soon to be climbing, you know, Mount Everest again? You know, how did that transition all happen? Because I think it's a killer story.
So basically, I won the gold medal 214, and then I snapped both my ACLs. And the year before, I snapped my ankle. So when I was coming back from these 2 knee operations, I then had to have my pelvis and spine basically pushed out. So I had this spine surgery because I had sciatica and it was awful. No matter what I did, I couldn't get over it. So I had this surgery. It was like this little titanium, let's call it like a spring, that lifted it. And I woke up and my sciatica had gone. And then last year, my parachute didn't open. I pulled my reserve too late and I hit a tree and broke my back. So basically I had this gnarly surgery now. They did such a good job, and you will not believe it, I do not have any back pain now. My back is the best it's ever been. I've got this titanium wrapped on my lower spine. I've got a huge scar on my front, so I can't really put my shoes on because of the tissue. I've got this huge scar on my back, and believe it or not, my back's incredible. That's why I'm so excited about this next mission, because I broke my back about a year ago, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in.
I can't believe that. So a year ago, and now you're looking at April of 2023, doing a climb, breaking Guinness records. I mean, kind of tell everybody what that's all about, because I think just what you want to do is insane and exciting and inspiring all at the same time.
So basically, I really, like I say, I want to raise awareness of mental health, and what better way to go to the mountains that I love and cooking that I love and put them all in one unit. So we're going to do the highest ever dinner party. So the record at the moment is 7,056 meters. So we're going to try and do 8,000. But camp 3 is at 7.3, 8,000's at 8,000's camp 4. So even if we get any one of them, at the end of the day, we've got to go over the kombu ice fall with at least 6 wine glasses, because there's got to be 6 people at the table. Everyone has to be in a suit and tie, and whoever comes up to the dinner party has to carry the equipment. So we're going to take 20 glasses. So the hardest thing is to get the glasses there in one piece. So we're going to take 20 glasses and hope that we have 6 still standing. And then, yes, we're going to do a 3-course meal. Obviously, you have to be really light because you're high in altitude. You don't have much appetite there. So I'll probably start off with like a miso broth or something, just super light, and then you're allowed to cook at base camp. Okay. So I will sous vide, savouries, I'm not sure exactly, like a lamb shank or something. I'll sous vide it, backpack it, and then we'll carry that up, and then it would just be the case of reheating it on a 1 saucepan kind of gas light. That's the plan. So the plan is to get the record, raise awareness at the same time, just do as much content as possible. I can't believe I'm here today. Like I can't believe like what I've achieved. I'm so gracious for it. So I just want to keep going. I want to keep feeling like this. I don't want it to end. I just want to keep doing this, the new high, you know. Because I said again, it makes me feel good. It kind of keeps that anxiety locked away. So just keep moving forwards.
I mean, with that, you know, how do you find balance in your world? I mean, I know like you used to ski, you're a climber, you know, it seems like you go to all these extremes. How do you keep balance between like the extreme lifestyle and like just relaxing at home?
I love adrenaline. Like I love the adrenaline and the heat of the kitchen, like a base jump, a skydive. It's the same feeling for me. I can't just sit at home and watch Netflix. I can't do it. My mind never stops. Like I suffer with anxiety, and for me being in the kitchen where people are panicking, like it's too much on, I'm like, yes, I love it. I really thrive off it. It's the same. It's exactly the same as mountaineering, skiing, you know, skiing for a couloir at 100 miles an hour. It's exactly the same feeling as being in the kitchen. Honestly, it makes me who I am.
I love that. I mean, I think there's people in the kitchen, like you said, that just thrive on the adrenaline, just go, go, go. And you get the people who like deer in headlights because there's too many tickets coming in and something got burned and it needs to be refired.
Absolutely.
You know, just that kind of craziness between the two. I think, how do you take the adrenaline working for you and help somebody where, you know, they haven't figured out how to like harness that yet? What's the advice for somebody who's working in the kitchen and watching this, like, I want to learn how to do that?
The important thing is that people make mistakes. The whole experience of working in the kitchen, if you don't make a mistake, you're never going to learn. It's a whole growth period. The hardest place to be is on the pass or on the sauce, right? You're under pressure. But being on the pass, reading check after check after check, some people freak out. Take a deep breath, but again, it's just experience. Like, it's just time. Everything takes time. You've got to enjoy it too. If you don't enjoy cooking, do not do it. Like, if you're not passionate about it, do not do it. It's like love. If you don't want to love, don't love, all right? Exactly. It's the same thing, it's a passion, so just enjoy it, enjoy the journey.
Absolutely, I love that. You mentioned before, like, learning from your mistakes. Did you have like one specific instance that stands out in your memory as like you had a really bad day that like carved you and like helped build you into being a better chef?
The worst thing that ever happened to me, and it happens to everyone, is when I was emptying the fryer, I forgot to turn it off. So basically it was blocked by a chip and I was about to clean it. I went away to get the new oil and then the chip came out and then there you go, 30 litres of hot, dirty oil all over the kitchen. We'd already cleaned down, we'd already finished a Friday night service. So many people have done it and that is the worst thing, I'll never forget it. It took me hours to clean up, no one helped me. I'm talking hours, 3-4 hours. It was an absolute nightmare.
Oh, 3-4 hours compiled on to the end of already a Friday night.
It was a mission. I was still a commie chef too, so it was already a brutal service, you know, and then the end of it was just a nightmare. I think it's changed for the better for sure. Like when I was a young head chef at about 23 and I was a horrible head chef. I wasn't a nice guy at all. I slowly got out of that, transitioned out of that, and I started doing a lot more private chefing, working on super yachts. I was more face-to-face with clients, you know, closer to individuals and workers, so you couldn't be that guy anymore. And then we got these better equipment, you know, thermo mixes, sous vide. Like I think that's changed the game completely. So 100%, I think the game is changing. People are a lot more down to earth, and the trend has changed. It's still rock and roll. I still think it's rock and roll, but I think people are way more down to earth.
I love that. I mean, it's the world that you get into where it's, you know, it used to be kind of the freaks and the mercenaries, and, you know, it's like the crazy band of weirdos, and now it's like everybody gets involved, but everybody's still kind of a weirdo in their own way. I mean,
chefs are a crazy bunch.
You can't be fully normal and be a chef. I don't think we're allowed to be.
Who cooks like a fine dining meal and then sits on the floor and eats a cheese sandwich? Chefs. Who else does that? I just got back from Ukraine. I was cooking in Ukraine, and we were literally just sitting outside on the back doorstep, drinking our tea. Classic. We just cooked for 10,000 people, right, in these woks, and then we just go sit down, and we wouldn't even eat the food that we made. We were eating pot noodles around the back. It's wild. It's just you just lose your appetite, right? You're just so happy just to be out of the mixer and just being on the back doorstep.
Absolutely. I mean, I think part of it too is like you cook like that, but you're doing that because you love it and you cook for other people.
Absolutely.
And after you give so much of yourself, you're like, it's not that I don't want to give that to myself. I don't want that. I want something simple and plain.
It's so bizarre. It'll be an egg sandwich at the most.
But it's going to be a killer egg sandwich.
It'll be a good egg sandwich, yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, you mentioned cooking in Ukraine. I know you've done some stuff with World Kitchen. I mean, you're super involved in charity and philanthropy. Where did that come from, and like, how do you find yourself constantly giving back?
As I'm on the yacht now, I work 2 months on, 2 months off, so I get quite a lot of time off. So that was a big reason. And being in the yachting industry, it's actually quite disgusting, like the waste and the amount of money that gets thrown around. So I just really wanted to give back. And I love, like I said, I deal with anxiety, so I have a lot of down days. But when I'm helping people and doing things like Ukraine, I just did Fort Mears and Tampa. It's so rewarding and so humbling, and you can't get that from anywhere else, you know. And I'm so glad I did it. I met some incredible people in Ukraine. I met some amazing people, some incredible chefs, and like that would have never happened, you know. So that's awesome for me.
Yeah, I mean, I had one chef and another time in my career I had a manager that would tell me, you know, like anytime you feeling yourself get overwhelmed and stressed, find a way to go do something for somebody else. Do something for your team and make their life easier. Yeah. It's amazing how that can like take the pressure off your own mind and kind of change it up a little bit. I mean, what are some of the things that you do? Like you said, you're really open about depression, anxiety. So many people in our industry, you know, fight that and try to figure out ways around it. And you embrace it, and you know, you're really open about talking about it. You know, why is it so important to you to be an open book? You know, to talk to people about the things that you go through to help them get through it. It
took me so long to be like this. I've only been like it since for about 5 years, and then before that. I was so closed up, and I really suffered with demons mentally. And then I just started reaching out, started talking to friends about it. I've started crying a lot more and releasing the stress. But talking about it it's number one. You know, I phone up a friend, and it's so easy for me to release. And now I just talk to anyone about it. I'm really keen on sharing this note that, you know, boys cry too. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not an issue, and I really want to push that. What do you want your legacy to be? Outside of the kitchen, inside the kitchen, like what do you want people to remember you for decades from now? Oh, that's a tough question. I gotta throw a couple of, like, you know, heavy ones at you. I just want to be, look, I'm not gonna lie, like I said, when I was younger, I wasn't the nicest of people. I was an angry guy. I want to be remembered as a nice guy, a giving guy, a humble guy. Like my nickname's Dangerous Dave, just because I love the extreme sports to try and do not the impossible, but just to try and make anything possible. Once I've done this, I really want to get back in the kitchen, and I actually would like to try and open a restaurant and push for a star. So I'd like to be remembered for my food, I guess. But just a nice guy. That's all I want. Just nice guy, good food. Nice guy. That's it. But I mean, just going through that whole journey and that mental health battle, constant demons on your shoulder. I want to share that story because I think it's quite wild and it's quite intimidating. I was really at rock bottom, you know, and then how I've come out of it is quite incredible. And I feel like there'll be lots of other people out there who feel like, oh, what am I going to do now? I'm done for, you know. But there's always a chance, and there's always time to change. Absolutely, it needs to be a conversation that we're having, because especially, like I said, so many people in the industry suffer from not one or two, but like a litany.
when I found out I had ADHD, my old chef told me, he's like, that's like a superpower in the kitchen, because you can keep doing 15 different things at one time, and like for you it's keeping your brain on track, but it's keeping you like busy, and some people can't multitask like that. So I think
it's a gift, and it is a gift because it makes you your passion and your ability to create, right? It turns you into more of an artist. And I feel like I can, like, not Spider-Man, but you know, these spidey senses. You're like, right, I can envision this is what I'm going to do. It's because my mind's so hectic. So when you learn to control it and don't give up faith, then no, it's a good way to go.
Yeah, and I think, you know, especially to a lot of people who are out there who don't necessarily have somebody who's, you know, like you said, your mom never gave up on you, and they don't necessarily have somebody who's being that supportive.
Yeah.
So to see other people out in the world, and especially in our industry, who are doing it and then are saying, you know, this is okay. You know, it's not something that needs to be stigmatized. It's something that we need to talk about.
Absolutely, and it's not all roses and bloody bubble bath. It's nothing like that. It's a hard journey. Like it's hell, but to come out the other side is. And then you can just share your journey, and like you say, like if you don't have anyone who's looking out for you, then maybe you can have a little read and this will give you hope. So I reached out to like a counsellor, someone to speak to, but it actually, for me personally, and a life coach, and for me it didn't really help me. What I found helped me was just talking to my friends, being open to my friends about it. I also found it hard to talk to my mum and dad as a kid. But now for me, it's talking to my friends, and I travel so much, so I meet new people as well. I talk to people about it I've never met before, and I openly talk about it because I'm not ashamed of it. Mm-hmm. So I feel it is hard to talk to someone who is professional. Like I said, I find that difficult. So if you can't do that, just send a message to one of your friends, or just, sounds a bit stupid, just sit on a park bench in the middle of Thailand and just leak out your problems to some random person, because trust me, it feels so good and it's nothing to be ashamed of. For you to be able to do that, that's a skill in itself, you know, and you'll never know who you'll come across. For the Everest expedition, I'm raising awareness for Calm, which is a campaign against living miserably. So I'm accepting funds, donations for that, and there's a link on my bio. My Instagram is dangerous_Dave White. Not because I'm dangerous, just for the extreme sport.
You love doing the dangerous stuff though, so it makes sense.
So you can find me on Instagram there. So yeah, if anyone wants to donate and help the cause. And it'll basically, I think every pound will basically answer a phone call. So even if it's £1, it's more than enough.
Awesome, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out with us here on Soundbites. Thank you, Chef Dave. We're going to have all of the links that Chef Dave was talking about down below, so make sure you check it out. Give to Calm, and know that it's all going for a great cause, because things that we need to make sure that we're talking about, and we want to make sure that we're raising a lot of awareness.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chef.
Thank you, Chef. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.